Hi, Pete.
Hi, Dee. Where do I sit down?
The old man over here.
Very old.
1 hour of blissful balance. Yay!
Yay.
So I'm Dee, this is Pete. We're going to start in Supta Baddha Konasana. Grab your balls.
Really?
The soles of feet together, knees out wide. We're going a bit mad in here, so we've got to keep it light, right? If you've got lacrosse balls, if you've got spiky balls, if you've got tennis balls, whatever balls, except those ones. Soles of feet together, knees wide. You're going to bring the balls underneath your glutes, but bring them to the outside, so the outer edge of your glute as much as you can, without the ball sort of sliding out to the side. So as you open up through your hips, you'll feel big glute muscle, but into your glute med, glute min, which are your stabilizers, as well as into your TFL and ITB. So it might be, if it's too intense for you, then don't even worry about the balls. If you can handle having both the balls there, then awesome. Just let the hips fall open, as I mentioned. You can do with the balls, you can do without the balls. What we're aiming for is the target area to be relaxed. So if you get there and you're clenching like nothing else to hold it there, or you're sweating or you're heavy breathing, then just back off a little bit. You want it to be as restful as possible. Relaxed as possible. Close your eyes. If you have an eye pillow handy, bring that on your eyes as well, because that will help you rest. It'll help you calm down your nervous system. All styles of yoga, all practices, whether it's asana or pranayama, the postures, physical, the breath work, or the inquiry work, it doesn't matter what style of yoga you practice, what form, what method, all of them are designed for purity. To purify the physical body and to purify our mind experience. And the older we get, the more purifying we need. Our mind is so coloured and often clouded, very conditioned. And so is the body. You know, you just look at a newborn baby and they smell delicious. And then as we get older, that smell not so good. You know, baby's breath, they don't brush their teeth. They're so pure that, you know, they just smell pure. But as we get older, our breath becomes smellier. So does everything else that leaves the body become smellier. Because we're more and more impure. When you dive into, you know, the real cleansing, purifying practice of yoga, the body actually starts to smell less when you do the physical pranayamas and kriya techniques, the cleansing techniques. Your body doesn't have an odor about it. It's a lot more pure, a lot more cleansed. So we need to do that for our minds as well. We need to unlearn to bring the mind back to purity. It's a process of unlearning all the conditionings that we've learned to date. The older we are, the more conditionings, the more learning that we need to unlearn. If at any stage through this practice you're somewhere that you feel you need to stay, then by all means, you're at home, you can even just pause the stream and stay where you are for a little bit longer. Or you can just catch up with us, later on in the practice. Really allow this practice to purify your body, give your body what it needs so it can function more optimally and more effortlessly. And so now you're going to move the ball away from the left hip and bring the left knee to the sky, and you're going to keep the right leg where it is, but you're going to move that right ball to the real outside edge of that right hip. And so as far out as the ball as you want to take it, you're just going to work on this right side for a moment, but keep the knee falling open to the right. So you're really working on, you can work on glute max quite easily actually because it's such a big muscle. But we want to kind of go towards the outside edge of the hip a little bit. And so moving the ball, just explore around there. And when you hit a sweet spot, that's your body screaming at you to stay there. Pay it attention. So you've got about 3 minutes this side, 3.5 minutes, just to explore around that outside edge hip. There's big bony muscles in there with your leg, upper leg, and that big ilium joint, but just see if you can work around and sort of get into the tissues as the hip falls open in that half butterfly. We're so conditioned even by words. When we talk about purifying the mind, we've got to do the work and notice, things that cause a reaction within us. And one simple word or one simple phrase can make us react so significantly. I have this one story. It's kind of scarred me a little bit. But I worked with this director when I was dancing professionally. We were overseas, we were doing a massive tour of America. We were over there for 3 months. And so we're kind of living in each other's pockets. And he was a hard man to work for. He was a very reactive man. He was a very emotional and very angry, and very physical, and very quite abusive actually, kind of a man. And I didn't know this, I was the newest company member at the time, but we were in the car, we went out for a shopping day, we had a day off and went out for a shopping day, and we're in the car and a song came on the radio, and I can't even remember what song it was, but he said it was lame, the song was lame, but it was actually one of my favourite songs, because it had brought a memory up of me and my one of my uni friends. That we used to play that in the car on the way to uni to amp us up. So it was a fun song. And he called it lame, and so just lightheartedly, I was like, "Oh, shut up! That's not lame. I love that song," and started to tell the story. Anyway, for the next week, he did not speak to me. And I didn't know what was going on. I just kind of left him. He was a bit like that. He was a bit temperamental, so I just kind of left him to his own devices. Anyway, it came out a week later that because I had said the words or the phrase "shut up" to him, even though I said it playfully and in a very different way, just those words triggered him so bad from obviously his own past, his own childhood, his own conditionings, that he didn't speak to me for a week. We're going to do the same thing for the other side. So if you, like I said, if you need to stay and work on this side, then do that for yourself. Otherwise, swap it over to the other side. You might even swap it over spend a little bit of time on your left side and then realise that you need to go back to your right because the left one's fine, or maybe this is a side you need to stay. But do the same thing for the other side, explore around first. And so that one little phrase, regardless of how it's said or the intention behind it, can have such a big impact on someone. And we all have them. We all have, you know, trigger words and trigger phrases, and especially if they're meant to hurt, like if the intention behind it is detrimental, then we have this conditioning and we go into this automatic response or this automatic reaction. The path to purity is unlearning. The path to liberation. We liberate ourselves from all those trigger words. We start to unpack that they're just two words put together, shut and up. And then we dig in and go, okay, well, one, what was the intention behind it? It was meant to be playful, so I need to, you know, do the work. But two, where does it come from me? Why am I so triggered by those words? Something that's happened in my past? How can I start to heal that? And often we look outside for that healing, but the healing's inside. We have to do it for ourselves. Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras teaches that we need to approach everything in our lives from a place of purity and innocence, like we've never heard those words before, regardless of the intention behind it, because they're just words. Like we've never done this pose before, like we've never done this release before. We look at the world through innocent awareness. Kya te, he calls it. It's a beautiful word. And in fact, it's such an important word, Sanskrit word, that he uses in his teachings. He repeats it a lot. Atma kya te, viveka kya te, guna kya te, everything we look at, everything in the world, we look at it through innocent awareness. We unlearn our conditionings, or at least start the process of unlearning anyway. It takes time, a lot of effort, a lot of inquiry work, a lot of digging. Another minute. By the way, the director that I was talking about, he did end up forgiving me. We had a nice big conversation and I said to him, look, if I had known, I wouldn't have used that phrase. But I didn't know. So now I know I won't use it again. I apologise, and he apologised, and you've got 3 more breaths. He even actually said to me afterwards, he said, thank you. So thank you for teaching me. Quite a few people around him, because I was so scared of him, just kind of, were at his beck and call. But I kind of stood up to him and went, no, I'm not going to put up with that. And he was very grateful for it. he was still really hard to work with. Release out of this, and we're going to come into cow face. So pop your balls off to the side now. Help yourself up to a seated position. Now we'll start with the right side, but if you prefer to start with the left, then feel free to do that. Left leg goes long and your right leg comes over the top. So this is we call a half version, Ardha. And the idea is to, as much as you can, bring your knees on top of one another. Then lean forward. And now how you do that is you can use your bolster on an angle just to rest your forehead. You could bring your bolster onto your knee and lean into it. If you have the further range, you can bring your bolster out in front or on a block. If you have the full version of this pose, then you're going to bring the leg that's out in front, you're going to bring that underneath as well. Your bottom sits in between your feet, your heels, and then you can lean yourself forward. Now from here, we're going to be here for the full 5 minutes. So soften and unlearn. Sadhguru teaches that without inner purity, no spiritual progress is possible. If we're constantly functioning and perceiving from a conditioned mindset, then we're recreating and reinforcing our karma. And the path of spiritual progress is reducing karma. And so I invite you for this practice, and I actually invite you for the rest of your life, but especially over these next coming days and weeks, while we're in such a significant lockdown for those of us in Melbourne, to really dig deep, dive in and notice your conditionings. Notice what things trigger you, whether they're actions or words or phrases or even facial expressions. And question, ask yourself why. And then see if instead you can project an innocent awareness and just see it for what it is. Just words, just, muscle movements. Start the process of unlearning those conditionings. A really good way of unlearning a conditioning is to expose yourself to it. So if you have a word or a phrase that you know really grates you, that triggers you and causes a reaction within you, expose yourself to it a lot. Say it to yourself, get your closest friends and family to say it to you. Start to unlearn that conditioning. See the word for what it is. It's just a group of letters put together that we make or put meaning to, project meaning on. You've got 3 more breaths. And we're just going to slowly come up into a side stretch. We're not going to be here for long. Just straighten out your spine, leave everything as is. Bring your right hand, if you've got your right leg on top, then bring your right hand to the floor next to you, left arm over. If you've got your left leg on top, then you'll be the opposite way. Your left hand will be on the floor and your right arm will come up and over. And just notice that stretch to the side of the body, because it is a side stretch, but also to the outside of the hip. Three more breaths. Slowly come up. Lean back to unravel your legs. And just bring both legs out in front and fold forward for a moment. Or you can give them a little bit of a wiggle and shake. Just lean forward. Doesn't matter what it looks like. We're just going to stay here for about 5 breaths. Just to let the hips come out of that stretch. Let the fluids and blood flow. Set up, right leg out long. If you did the opposite, then obviously do the opposite to what I'm cueing. It's the left leg that comes up and all the way over to the point where your knees, as much as your legs and hips will allow, and then you lean forward from there. So you bolster on an angle with props, with a block. If you've got the range to do the full version, that right leg's going to come underneath as well. Bottom's nice and flat, sit bones are kind of even, flat, and then you lean forward from there. There's philosophy everywhere. And even Yoda says to young Luke in Star Wars, "You must unlearn what you have learned." But it's true. We're so conditioned. Kyate means innocence, innocent awareness, unconditioned awareness, pure awareness. 3 breaths. Take it into that side stretch again, so straighten out through the spine. If your left leg's on top, then bring your left hand to the floor beside you and right hand goes up and over. Three more deep breaths, purifying breaths. Slowly come up. Oh, lean back, unravel the legs. And come back into that gentle forward fold. Whatever that looks like, you don't even have to rest the head on anything, just lean forward. And we're going to take a hip release for that real outside edge of hip. So pop everything off to the side and just grab one of your balls, the tennis ball or cos ball. We'll do right side again first. So drop over onto your left hip, your left side for the setup. Place the ball at the very apex, the very top of your hip, and then roll the ball forward. If you don't have a ball, I'll give you another alternative in a second. Roll the ball slightly forward and up, and you'll feel like a real fleshy part. It's the real side stabilizer of your hip. It travels all the way down the side of your leg and your knee. Wedge the ball there, and then roll yourself over. And with the ball wedged in the spot, then you take the weight, your body weight on top. You'll know when you've got the spot because it'll be quite intense for most of us, and you might even feel some referring sensation into your lower back, your sacroiliac joint, or into your lumbar fascia. Once you've got that in the right spot, then just close your eyes, breathe into it. If you don't have a ball, then you're going to take twisted roots. So you're going to, from your back, cross your right leg on top of your left, shuffle your hips to the right slightly, and then drop the hips over towards the left. You could prop the knees up with a polster, reach the right arm out, take the gaze over to the right as well. But you'll feel a stretch opening up through the right side of that hip. So that's your option if you don't have myofascial release tools. And if you don't, I do highly recommend go to Woolies today and grab yourself a couple of tennis balls. You've got 3 more breaths, but as I mentioned earlier, if you need to stay on this side, then do that for yourself. Really listen to your body and what it needs to purify. The more purity we can bring into the body through our asanas and our physical practice and our myofascial release and our cleansing techniques, the more vibrancy we bring into our body, more health and life, more purity. Release. Other side. So release the ball out. Lay on your right side to find the spot first. So as you look down towards your hip, the very top, like the apex, the very peak of your hip, that's a bony prominence there. It's your greater trochanter on the top of your femur bone. We don't want to be on that because it'll just bruise the bone. So you roll the ball forward and up slightly, and there's like this little divot of flesh in there, and you can kind of dig the ball in, and for a lot of us it already feels a bit sweet, a bit tender. So wedge the ball there so you don't lose that spot, and then roll over and take the weight into the left side. You can stay still, you can move around a little bit, you can start still and then move when you sort of settle in a little bit more. For those of you who don't have the ball, you're in your twisted root, so this time from your back, your left leg will cross over the top. Shift the hips to the left slightly and then drop your knees to the right. If you propped your knees up with a bolster or pillows or blanket, prop yourself up again. Spread your wings. You'll be gazing over your left. 3 more breaths. Slowly release. Pop the ball off to the side. Just lay flat on your back for a moment. If you're in your twist, come out of the twist. Unravel the legs, lie flat. Those of you who don't have the balls and did the twist, we're heading there but into that twist now. I'll give you an alternative if you don't want to repeat the twist, the twisted roots. So if you did the ball work, bend your knees, cross your right leg on top of your left, send your hips to the right slightly and then drop your knees to the left. Reach your right arm out, take your gaze over to the right. Prop it up as you need. If you did this already, then the other option is banana stretch, where from your back, left leg to the outside edge of your mat, right ankle crosses over the top of the left. Shift your shoulders, not your hips, leave your hips as is, shift your shoulders over to the left, arms above your head, reaching the right arm over towards the left. You'll feel a stretch the whole way down the side of that body, but it's very significantly into the side of that hip. Unless you've got tightness elsewhere, and that's where you'll feel the significance. Doesn't matter where you feel it, you're in a really good place. Those of you who do have the balls and you're in twisted roots, feel free to grab one of your balls and bring it in to the side of your left hip, the side of your left body, like into your obliques area, your lower belly, or even into the side of your shoulder. That left shoulder. You kind of got to wiggle yourself around a little bit to get it. Once you're in the right spot, just close your eyes. Allow yourself to soften and slip into that kyate. Innocence. Innocent awareness. got 5 more breaths. Really allow yourself to soak them up with that innocence, that purity of experience. Unconditioned. Slowly unravel yourself. If you put the ball there, then move that out of the way. Just back through center. If you're in banana, bring yourself back through center. Just stay in centered for 2 or 3 breaths. If you took banana, then you'll set yourself up for the other side banana. If you took the twisted roots, then you set yourself up. So left leg on top of right for twisted root. Shift your hips to the left slightly. Drop your knees to the right. Spread your wings. Gaze left. If you brought the ball in, match it if you can. If not, it doesn't matter. If you took banana, right ankle to right edge of mat. Left ankle loops on top of it. Hips stay in the center of your mat and you shuffle your shoulders to the right, reaching both arms above your head, reaching left arm. So now you've got a big long stretch through the left side of your body. got 3 more breaths. Purifying breaths. And this will bring us into our Shavasana. So whatever version of Shavasana you want to take. If you want to continue with some myofascial release, you're at home. So set yourself up. You know, you can bring your bolster in underneath your knees and pop the balls in at your back somewhere. You can lay on your side, throw the leg over a bolster, you can come onto your front. You can come into waterfall, child's pose, an occipital release. You can have a block handy, place that underneath your head. Tuck your chin and massage where your neck and head meet with the edge of the block. Or you can just lay in your stillness, knowing that every style of practice of yoga, its aim, its essence is purity. Purifying body, mind, spirit. Actually, spirit is always already pure. We just purify the body and the mind to match. Yate. Purity. Innocence. Unconditioned. Without inner purity, no spiritual progress is possible. Deepen your breath. Gently move the body. And then when you're ready, help yourself up to a comfortable seated position, bringing palms together at heart center, keeping your eyes closed or closing them if you needed to open them. The vibration Om is also part of the purifying practice. It purifies. That vibration is the most pure vibration in the cosmos through its connectedness, through its spirit. And so let's cleanse, purify, vibrate together. Big breath in. Thumbs to third eye center, we bow our heads to ourselves, to each other, to the entire cosmos, acknowledging that that self, that soul, that spirit within me is the same spirit with you and in the entire universe. When we connect to that place of purity together, we are one. Together we say Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Awesome. Have a beautiful rest of your day today. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.